Whatever.
President Bush?
Hush up. Don't talk to me now. Whatever. Leave it to me.
Amendment 1 states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or of abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The original question I wanted to pose in this project was, how online upload-your-own media sites affect public opinion regarding presidential campaigns. Since I consider media, printed, video, and graphics to be my forte, and there is an upcoming presidential election, this just seemed relevant and practical to me. Additionally, I get to vote in the next presidential election. The influence of upload-your-own media sites is, especially these days, more influential than ever before. The influence of upload-your-own media sites sets a dangerous precedent. The influence of upload-your-own media sites is irrelevant, and regarding presidential campaigns, can be considered little more than online political cartoonery and entertainment. The influence of upload-your-own media sites, while relatively new, is rapidly changing the way we, the people, elect to acquire information and opinions regarding the presidents we want to see leading our country. The previous 4 statements, while appearing contradictory, are also intertwined and reflect opinions gleaned from individuals who visit upload-your-own websites both frequently and infrequently. We will revisit these in a bit. First, my opinions. I don't think you can really refer to a presidential campaign without including the candidate themselves. Of course, the candidate is the campaign, and the campaign is the candidate. Regarding all media sites, the candidate is the product the campaign is trying to sell. And of course the opposition is trying to discourage you from buying. During the debate over how to best do this assignment, it was brought out that influential photos, TV, statements, news stories, newspapers, books, and magazines have been doing for years what bloggers, YouTube, MSN, MySpace, even email are involved in now. I concur, and although it drifts a bit from the assignment, a brief examination of the past and a couple of media-manipulated vignettes would certainly not be out of order. It's been said that the age of presidential video broadcast began with the Nixon-Kennedy debates in the late 1960s. It is generally known that Kennedy had a more personable appearance in this debate. Kennedy had makeup and Nixon didn't. Kennedy was cool and collected while Nixon was nervous and sweaty. It's been said that those who listened only to the radio voted for Nixon, and those who watched television voted for Kennedy.
Even when hospitalized for 2 weeks with a knee injury, Nixon remained confident, anxious for the debates to begin, eager once again to use television to talk directly to the voters.
At the time, there was a feeling that this overall might be a mismatch. Nixon was the candidate who had more prominence, who had been a member of the House, a member of the Senate, and the Vice President of the United States. Kennedy, he didn't have a particularly strong reputation in Congress. There was some feeling that he was, to some extent, a playboy, but he wasn't too serious a senator. So I think people felt that Nixon had the edge, and I think Nixon felt that he had the edge.
The candidates need no introduction. The Republican candidate, Vice President Richard M. Nixon, and the Democratic candidate, Senator John F. Kennedy. According to rules set by the candidates themselves, each man should...
The Nixon-Kennedy debates would forever change the way Americans chose their presidents. Political rallies and old-fashioned handshaking became much less important than the image on the television screen.
You must understand that Nixon himself had said, I don't want any makeup on for these particular debates. What I tried to explain to Dick was he has a certain characteristics of his skin where it's almost transparent. And it was a very nice thought to say, you know, I don't want any makeup, but that he really needed it in order to have what we would call even an acceptable television picture. And of course, JFK, here he'd been riding in motorcades all over California with the top down. He looked like a bronze warrior when he came into Chicago. He really did.
You've just seen an example of the real debates. As you can see, it's not about the issues, it's about the candidate's appearance. This is the reason why it's so important to look good online. Now take a look at this manipulated video.
The debate between presidential candidates took place in a Chicago studio in 1960.
It's generally conceded that Kennedy won the debate not on the issues presented, but because Americans saw something in Richard Nixon's face that troubled them.
But as a member of the Senate...
This video was found on YouTube. As you can see, it has been edited to show Nixon as an alien. While this example of manipulation is far too far-fetched to be believed, other edits are much more subtle and therefore more believable. Television debates began with Nixon and Kennedy, and the age of the weblog, or the blog, began with the Howard Dean campaign.
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House! Yeah!
This one moment in history was replayed over and over again, and many believe that it's what lost Howard Dean the presidency. Had it not been uploaded, only a small fraction of the people would have seen it, and Howard Dean might be our president today. In discussing this project with my father, it was brought out that the subject matter was pretty broad, and that the media forum, while new, also has boundaries, emphasized by economic and geographic disparities and political learnings. It was also brought out that upload your own media is just another next big thing, and that it will evolve into something bigger and better, or maybe even just wither and die. Well, I know that uploaded media is new. It's transitional, viable, pliable, and sometimes not so fair. I know it's free, it's cool, and it does not generate anything that you have to take out to the recycle bin. It is not a post-New Age, pre-apocalyptic sewer of anything and everything. Of course, the printed word and political editorial cartoons have been around for ages. While upload your own pretty much refers to internet or World Wide Web usage, the non-scripted, unchallenged opinions and idea of pundits, leaders, dictators, clerics, pornographers, linebackers, and world explorers have been around since the dawn of time and are the original uploads. Printed uploads really came into being and were made available for the commoner with the innovation of the Gutenberg press. The press is credited with the expansion of Christianity in Europe, and since that time, 1437, printed matter has been used for all manner of good and bad information dissemination. One extreme example of the bad is that of a young Austrian man, Adolf Schicklgruber, who would later go on to write his memoirs in a book, Mein Kampf. He became dictator of the National Socialist Germany in the 1930s, and, with the help of an efficient minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels, and a young photography student, Leni Riefenstahl, uploaded to much of the world what was to become the single biggest disaster of the 20th century. Vietnam was the first war to really capitalize on television and video. Images and commentary were available nightly on any of the network news stations, and they seldom held anything back. When Robert F. Kennedy said, "The war in Vietnam cannot be won," people took notice. When Walter Cronkite said, in the aftermath of the 1968 Tet Offensive, that the war is all but lost, the nation turned on the U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson and insisted on an end to the war. While the war didn't end, Johnson's presidency did, and he decided not to seek re-election. The new U.S. President, Richard Nixon, inherited the Vietnam problem, and with a campaign promise of a secret plan to end the war, proceeded to make an even bigger mess of an already disastrous situation. Again, with an unrelenting media, support for Nixon's policies fell quickly, and with the support, so did Vietnam. Nixon resigned in disgrace shortly after his re-election in 1972. Enough history. The point is, media can and does affect public opinion, and has been both boon and bane for countless presidents, dictators, despots, emperors, tsars, and military leaders. For the purpose of this presentation, I will stick with uploaded media regarding United States presidential campaigns. I'll try to, anyway. The reason being that U.S. presidential campaigns are explicitly intertwined with U.S. foreign policy. It's a part of the job. And U.S. foreign policy is projected in two ways, diplomatically and militarily. Militarily generally means war. As the proceeding showed, war and the media coverage of it can make or break a presidency. All of the U.S. presidents in the past 60 or so years have had some kind of war or military action to contend with. War can and does define a presidency. It gives a presidency resilience and aura, and depending on the outcome, can sway the media to lend even further support or denigration. In other words, it feeds and breeds. When things are good, the media can make them really good. When they're bad, watch out.